32 minus 17. How do I do that? Well, the best approach is this method, where I put one on top of the other, where I put the bigger one at the top. Well, the one I'm taking away from, I put it at the top, and I put the bottom one underneath it. And you have to make sure you align them correctly, alright? So I want my tens underneath the tens, I want my units underneath the units, hundreds under hundreds, okay? And then I put a line underneath. Now, I'm gonna start off from the right side, so from the 2 and the 7, and now I'm gonna ask myself, okay, so what's 2 minus 7? I can't do that because I'll go into the negatives, so what I do is I borrow 1 from the 3. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna take 1 from the 3, so the 2 becomes a 12, and the 3 becomes a 2, okay? So I'm gonna do 12 minus 7, which leaves me with 5. And then I'll do the other one, so I do 2 minus 1, which is 1. So 32 minus 17 is 15. Okay, that's the idea here. I'll do a few more examples just so you can see how this works. And you should practice it yourself, alright? So once you feel like you want to try it yourself, just pause the video, try working out the examples yourself, and just check if you did it right or not. So, let's try another one. Minus 1, 3, 8. Let's try something like that. So, can I take away 8 from 7? Because obviously I'm starting here. I'm starting on the right hand side. Yeah, we're starting here. So, can I take away 8 from 7? No, I cannot. So I need to borrow 1 from my 5. So the 5 becomes a 4, and the 7 becomes a 17. So I'm going to take 8 from 17 now, which I can do, and I'm left with 9. Now can I take 3 from 4? I can. I'm left with 1. Can I take 1 from 2? I can. I'm left with 1. So the answer is 119. So you see, it's pretty quick. I like this method. It's very, very fast. Alright? I think it's the best method. Alright, let's keep on going. Let's do a few more examples. Okay, how about this one? 421 minus 175. So, I'm just going to take away 5 from the 1. Can I do that? No, I need to borrow 1 from my 2. So the 2 becomes a 1, and the 1 moves over to the 1, which becomes 11. So I'm going to do 5 minus 11, which I can do, and I'm left with 6. So now I'm going to do 1 minus 7, which I cannot do. So I'm going to borrow 1 from the 3, so the 4. So the 4 becomes a 3, and the 1 moves over to this one. So that becomes 11. So I'm going to do 11 minus 7, which leaves me with 4. And then I'll do 3 minus 1, which leaves me with 2. 246. Here we go. Now, what if I have decimals? Well, it's pretty much the same thing. 54.2 minus 21.25. Okay, so the reason why I have a 0 here is because I have 2 digits here. So you want to make sure they all line up perfectly like that, right? So add zeros if you have to. You want it all to be lined up perfectly, okay? Just like so. So after it's all nicely lined up, make sure your decimals are lined up as well. It's very important with subtracting, right? It all has to be perfectly lined up. Now, I'm just going to work my way through it from the right side. So I'll do 0 minus 5. I cannot do that. I have to borrow 1 from my 2. So the 2 becomes 1, the 1 moves over. 10 minus 5, that leaves me with 5. 1 minus 2, I can't do that. I need to borrow 1 from here. That gives me 11. 11 minus 2, that leaves me with 9. Now the decimal place just moves down. That's how we do it. Now 3 minus 1 just becomes 2. And 5 minus 2 becomes 3. Here we go, 32.95. So decimals are not too tricky. I think what's where people get really confused is when we have a bunch of zeros. How would I approach this? So first things first, as usual, I just start with the right hand side and I start with the top one. So I'm going to do 2 minus 3. Can I do 2 minus 3? I cannot. So I need to borrow 1 from the one to the left. Uh-oh, I got a 0. I can't borrow from a 0, so I'll move another place to the left. Uh-oh, I got a 0 again. There's nothing to take. So I'm going to take one more step to the left. Hey, I got a 6. I can borrow 1 from a 6. So the 6 becomes a 5, and the 1 moves over to this 0, because it has to go one step at a time. We're taking single steps here, alright? Don't forget that, single steps. Now, so I can restart the process. If you get confused, you could just start all over again. So I'm doing 2 minus 3. So I can't do that, so I need to borrow 1. I can't borrow from the 0, but hey, I got a 10 here. I can borrow 1 from the 10. I'm going to do that. So the 10 becomes a 9, and 1 moves over. So now I got a 10 here, right? So I'm going to take 1 from this 10. So this 10 becomes a 9, and the 1 moves over. You see, that's how it works. So zeros get confusing. Rewatch that if you have to. But yeah, that's how we deal with those. So now I'm going to do 12 minus 3, which leaves me with 9. 9 minus 0 is just 9. 9 minus 2 is just 7. And then 5 minus 1 is just 4. Alright, so we got 4,799.